What are you doing?
I'm practicing my detectivisting skills. You know, sneaking around, climbing through lasers, things like that.
But I thought you were training to be a detective, not a spy.
So,
singing isn't gonna help us solve the case.
So no lasers?
No lasers.
Well, then what do we even have?
We have direct evidence.
Oh, direct evidence. I know this one. That's, what is that again?
So, direct evidence. You know, eyewitness testimonies from witnesses who are actually there. Someone who witnessed Jesus' death and resurrection firsthand.
I see. So like if I told people about the time you spilled coffee all over yourself right before that party, that's direct evidence.
Sure, but we don't need to talk about that right now. Anyways, let's go. We have our first interview in just a few minutes.
Oh, but wait. We have to tell our detectives in training this week's new bottom line. The new bottom line is seek and find him.
Standing on the promises of Christ, my King. Through eternal ages, let His praises ring. Glory in the highest, I will shout and sing. Standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing on the promises of Christ, my Savior. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises, I cannot fall. Listening every moment to the Spirit's call. Resting in my Savior as my all in all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing on the promises of Christ, my Savior. Standing on the promises of God. P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S, P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S, P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S. Standing on the promises of God. P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S, P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S, P-R-O-M-I-S-E-S. Standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing on the promises of Christ, my Savior. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ, my Savior. Standing on the promises of God.
Hey guys, Cleo here, and I've got a great verse for you from 1 Corinthians, and it goes like this. And if Christ has not been raised, then our proclamation is in vain, and so is your faith. 1 Corinthians 15:14. All right, guys, now go ahead and stand up, and let's do this all together from the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And if Christ has not been raised, then our proclamation is in vain, and so is your faith. 1 Corinthians 15:14. Great job. Now let's do this one more time from the top. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And if Christ has not been raised, then our proclamation is in vain, and so is your faith. 1 Corinthians 15:14. Great job, guys!
So, why do you want to work as a detective?
What? What are you talking about?
Do you have any experience as a detective?
Well, you know I have experience. Wait, what are you doing?
I'm practicing for the interviews. If they want to work with us, they're going to need to answer the tough questions.
Not the kind of interviews I meant. Okay, just follow my lead, okay? Can you state your name for the record?
Mary.
And how were you able to witness these events?
I'm a follower of Jesus. I was there when Jesus was crucified with Jesus' mother. After he was buried, I went to the tomb, but when I got there, the tomb was empty.
And how did you feel when you saw the empty tomb?
I felt a mixture of fear and joy. When I saw that the tomb was empty, I ran to the disciples to tell them. None of them believed what I had seen. But on the way to the disciples, I met Jesus on the road. I didn't recognize him at first, but when he called me by name, I knew that he was the resurrected Messiah.
Okay, but how can we know that your testimony is reliable? I mean, I've read the documents and we found some details that aren't the same,
So, eyewitnesses to the same crime often tell slightly different stories about what happened depending on their perspective, personality, and memories. But those inconsistencies in the stories prove that those eyewitnesses are honest and reliable.
But how do we know that these stories aren't just made up?
Well, to be honest, there isn't anything to gain for us to tell these stories. We had nothing to gain and a lot to lose. But we all agree that we saw Jesus with our own eyes. We believed in what we saw so much that we were willing to die for it and never changed our story, no matter what.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay, but why should we believe you?
Well, a lot of people didn't believe me when I first told them what I had seen. Women weren't allowed to share testimonies, so it wouldn't make sense for me to be the first witness if this was all made up. They would have used someone that more people would have believed in. I'm a reliable witness because, like other witnesses, I have no reason to tell a fake story.
Other witnesses? How many more witnesses were there?
I don't know, but you should go ask other witnesses.
Ooh, good idea. Let's go, Cleo. Let's go.
Hello? Am I done now? Hello? Am I done?
Can you state your name for the record?
Thomas. I'm Thomas.
And how were you able to witness these events, Thomas?
Well, I'm one of Jesus' 12 disciples. I was there when Mary said that, she came and told us what she had seen, what she saw.
Oh, so you're a secondhand witness. You're just copying her story.
Well, no, not at all, not at all. Mind you, I didn't believe it at first either. I mean, someone rising from the dead, that didn't seem possible. There was no physical proof, no clues, no...
Indirect evidence.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. No indirect evidence. I just couldn't believe it unless I saw the mark of the nails in his wrists or put my fingers in his side. And 8 days later, I got the chance. Jesus came to us. Even though the door was locked, he told me to put my fingers in his wrists, to put my hand in his side. And I believed him. But others, they believed without seeing or feeling.
Mary told us that there were a lot more witnesses, but she didn't know how many. Do you?
Yep, Mary's right. From what I heard, there were records that say 500 people witnessed this.
That's a lot of witnesses. There's no way Jesus could have fooled 500 people into thinking that he came back to life in a perfect body, right?
Right. Listen, especially since they all saw Jesus at the same time and in the same way. They couldn't have all imagined that. There were too many independent appearances. Even ancient law said there only needed to be 3 or 4 witnesses to an event. So You have to believe in an event that had 500 witnesses. It just makes sense.
Okay. But 500 people could have said this event never happened. Then who would we have to believe?
Okay, but that's just it. Nobody did. 500 witnesses said they saw Jesus resurrected, but not one of them spoke against it. And with an event so publicized, don't you think that if Jesus had not risen from the dead, at least one eyewitness would have said that they saw Christ's body in the tomb? But nobody did.
I see.
Look. I didn't want to believe it either, but I saw it with my own eyes. Don't you think that's enough evidence?
Maybe, but stories can change over time. Things can be added. How do we know that these witness testimonies weren't made up later?
I think I know someone who can help us with that.
Can you state your name for the record?
Well, I'm Paul, formerly known as Saul, and I'm a follower of Christ.
And how were you able to witness these events?
Well, that's a pretty long story.
Hey, we've got all the time in the world.
Not all the time in the world.
Excuse my detective partner. Go on.
All right, where was I? I was what they call a Pharisee. I wasn't kind to Christians. In fact, I actually actively tried to stop the spread of Christianity because I didn't believe them. They weren't following Jewish laws, and that was a problem. But then I met Jesus, and my whole life changed. I was on the road to a place called Damascus when a light from heaven flashed all around me, and I was blinded. But I heard the Lord speak to me, asking me why I was persecuting him.
So you can't see? How many fingers am I holding up?
I can see now just fine. Jesus sent a disciple named Ananias to meet me, and the scales from my eyes fell off. And I actually wrote about all of this, all my experiences down a few years later.
How soon after? The most accurate testimonies are the ones written soonest after the original events.
Well, I wrote 1 Corinthians, where I write about my encounter with Jesus, extremely close to when the event took place. And they all say that Jesus died, the tomb was found empty, and when he appeared resurrected to his disciples. See, in fact, if you look at the chain of custody, you can trace it back to within 2 to 8 years of the resurrection. Even see how it was passed down.
The chain of what now?
Aren't you guys detectives? The chain of custody. It's a record of who had the evidence and when. It clearly shows that nothing was added to the story or the Gospels. Not to mention that when the Gospels were written, many eyewitnesses to the events were still living. So they could have easily said that there had been something added or something new, but nobody did.
That does seem to line up with what we learned from our other interviews, even the archaeologist. Thank you for your testimony. You have been very helpful. Come on, Clyde. Let's go solve this case.
Come on, you have to believe all of this. There's so much direct evidence. You're crazy if you don't. I mean, all the appearances of Jesus are as well authenticated as anything in antiquity.
Hold on. Where did that come from?
I told you, I'm learning. I'm getting better at this than you are.
I don't know about that. Anyways, it's not that I don't believe it. I just think we need to look at the indirect and the direct evidence if we're going to solve this case.
Gotcha. See, I think we just have to have a look at everything we've found to solve the case.
That is quite literally what I just said.
Come all you weary, come all you thirsty, come to the well that never runs dry. Drink of the water, come and thirst no more. Well, come all you sinners,
There's so many testimonies. I don't know how we're gonna get through all of these notes.
Well, we have to take into account all of the evidence if we're gonna solve this case.
I mean, I'm just saying, if this many people saw Jesus after his death, then he had to have resurrected.
Yes, but we still need to look over all of them to make sure that there isn't any fake evidence.
Fake evidence? Why would there be fake evidence?
I mean, it's possible. Fake evidence has come up in this case, so we need to make sure that we can tell what is real and what is fake. So let's get reading.